All right, it is 4:30 and this half hour goes fast. Welcome to Financing Philadelphia's Future. This is episode number 46. It's hard to believe. My name is Vanessa Lowe and I am your host today. I am involved with the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition. I also am the host of Vanessa's Money Hour on G-Town Radio. Again, this is episode number 46, which is very exciting, a little scary at the same time. Excited to be here today for a conversation with Michael Melio. And welcome, welcome. It's best to look at this, look at the slides with the group view on and the primary person being the big screen. And I always put my, I think it's called the gallery. Yeah, I like that. So set your screen to speaker view. There's an icon at the top of right of your screen, usually. We want your questions, so please enter those in the chat and let us know which section of the city you're joining us from. And if you want to join the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition email list and get to know more, put your email and your name in the chat, and we will collect that and add you to our list. All right, let's jump right in because, again, this half hour goes very quickly. I want to introduce Michael Melio, who is the communications director at the Public Banking Institute, and he'll tell us a little bit about that. Okay. Michael brings his career as an IT professional, information technology professional, to the public banking movement. In addition to being the Public Banking Institute Communications Director, Michael has also been the secretary and webmaster for two organizations in Colorado, the Colorado Public Banking Coalition and the Rocky Mountain Public Banking Institute. These organizations are working for the establishment of public banks at both the state and municipal levels in Colorado. So it's always exciting when we hear, how are other places doing about this public banking movement? So we're happy to have Michael here with us today, and he may have a colleague joining us. But Michael, I'll let you say hello and say a few words to the audience.
Well, I thank you very much, Vanessa. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to talk with you and the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition team. I have recently taken on the challenges of Communications Director for the Public Banking Institute. I've been advocating for public banks for over 8 years. I'm passionate about policy and the issues that can be addressed by public banks. In Colorado, as you mentioned, I sit on the board of the Colorado Public Banking Coalition and serve as the secretary for the Rocky Mountain Public Banking Institute, where I have developed our website and other communications tools. Now I am taking on the larger challenges of rapidly building capacities for the public banking movement in the nation at Public Banking Institute. I benefit from a very talented team, Cheyenne Najit and Athena Zhang, who were invited to join us here today. Athena coordinates our social media efforts and has done excellent work on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack, increasing our subscriptions and opening up the youthful audiences to public banking, adding nearly 22 members in the last month. Cheyenne heads our newsletter efforts and has done a remarkable job bringing the latest developments from around the world to our national subscriber list, while keeping us abreast of developments in public banking in our country, addressing some of the challenges that cuts to the national government social services have inflicted upon poorer communities. We are eager to explore ways the Public Banking Institute can help local efforts, such as the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition, and to work more closely with our national movement. Athena could not make it today as she has had a scheduling conflict. So I'd like to introduce Cheyenne and have him introduce himself if he's here. I'm not sure he's here yet.
He is.
Okay. You want to take it from here, Cheyenne?
Hello, everyone. My name is Cheyenne Eats. I am the editor of the newsletter. How's everyone? Of
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you could join.
course.
All right. Well, great. So, what we'd like to know is how we can help how the Public Banking Institute Communications Group can help the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition and how we may collaborate in the future. So, thank you, Vanessa.
Great, great question. And I'm going to look to Peter for that one. I have mostly wear the hat of hosting this, but I know they have regular monthly meetings and even more. So who's going to answer that question? It's a great one.
I think there are a lot of ways that the Public Banking Institute and the communications team can help our local effort here in Philadelphia. We are looking forward to two hearings in the fall, um, and they are both very significant. One will be to essentially ask the Park Administration what progress they've been making in establishing the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority. We know the answer. None. The other will be to examine the proposal that the Philadelphia Public Banking Coalition has made for the Philadelphia Board of Pensions and Retirement to adopt a policy of allocating a portion, we're recommending 2% of their portfolio to local economically targeted investments. For both of these hearings, we will need to ramp up our media presence and our communications for local consumption, and also we'd like to shine a national spotlight on the things that are happening in Philadelphia. That helps to put a little pressure on our elected officials, and those are things where I think that the Public Banking Institute communications team can be very helpful to what we're doing in Philadelphia. And I think we can also be helpful in the other direction of providing information and some content that can be shared nationally and help public banking efforts elsewhere be more successful.
Very good. Yeah. We're also presently, I'm also working with Marty Tellerico on the swarm technology / tactical strategic planning, and we're looking for ways to make public banking go viral. And I have a few ideas to that end. I'm hoping that maybe we can flesh them out over time. It's probably a little premature to bring them up now, but we are working on something, and I want people to know about that. So you'll be kept abreast of those developments.
Michael, if you could tell us what swarm technology is. This is new to some of us.
Well, it's new to me too, so I may not be the best spokesperson.
Michael, let me take it if I can.
Sure, yeah, please do.
Yeah, the idea of a swarm is to empower individual small groups to take advocacy action without having to have direction from a centralized authority. And there are some rules about how the swarm operates. Is a tool for or a methodology for empowerment. It's been developed by the Pirate Party in Sweden and used in Europe successfully. It's foreign. It's not a new concept that's been used in the United States very much. I have some familiarity with it because we had a swarm approach that's been adopted by Philly Thrive for some of the work that we've been doing in South Philadelphia.
Okay.
And that experience, I think, is informative as well. But in order to be effective, we need to build a more robust toolkit for folks than we currently have so that they have information and signage and things that they can use for whatever kind of action they want to take independently, which could be putting together a petition or letter writing, op-eds, demonstrations, um, lobbying elected officials, the whole range of activities that advocates take, but to do it in a way that the information that's provided is consistent, is accurate, and works toward a strategic goal rather than just be random actions. So this work that needs to be done before the swarm is ready to launch, but that may be as soon as this fall.
Okay, so I'll ask a question here. So Michael and Cheyenne, really good to have you both. What exists right now? So PBI is like the national network for folks trying to do public banking. So do you all have a list? And I might use old-fashioned language. Do you all have a listserv? Do you have templates for doing press releases? And how do we communicate with you when we want you to get something out? So tell us about the infrastructure that exists right now for communications.
Cheyenne, do you have any input on that? Because I'm actually still getting my feet wet in my position, and there's a lot of data, a lot of information that is available. I'm sure a lot of those things exist, but I haven't seen some of them yet. We have the newsletter, we have a few other venues that we're pursuing on social media, etc. But if Cheyenne has some other insights to that, he can jump in.
Sure. So I'm primarily focused with the newsletter, and we do have a template for that, which is pretty standard. Athena does handle communications on pretty much all our social media front, of which we're trying to expand there too. In terms of press releases, that's going to be something that either Peter or Walt is going to have a little bit more experience in.
Right. Yeah, we haven't done any of those ourselves, but that may come under our purview over time.
Okay.
But we've been commissioned primarily to manage the newsletter, take care of social media, get our messaging out right now, and so that's been our focus for the
Okay.
last 2 months.
Okay. So the newsletter, how often does that come out, and give us some highlights from the most recent issue? What cities or municipalities were profiled, and what are they doing?
Sure. So at the very least, we try to get once a month, but we're now trying to get 2 times a month. Every 2.5 weeks. That seems like the best way to get the newsletter out. I personally like to get it out a week before our coalition meetings, but I've been kind of redirected at having it like a day before or the morning of, just because that's when it's probably more frequent on people's minds than join the actual meeting itself. Makes sense. I will say that probably one of the biggest areas that we've talked about so far is how, in New York City, for example, the federal government pretty much just took money out of Citibank, where people are putting their taxpayer dollars in, and then just having to deal with the fact that Citibank just didn't do anything about it. Straight up federal government taking money out that could have been used for infrastructure and saying, okay, deal with it, and then pass it on to taxpayers, which would probably be one of the biggest issues. Actually, it's one of the things that Athena saw like the most in terms of growth, in terms of social media, that people are seeing the fact that it's essentially theft.
Right.
Something as direct as possible that people can actually see. Other areas that are, of course, big in the movement are New York City, most of the big cities, Chicago, LA, San Francisco. But we also have a new piece coming into the next newsletter, Public Banking Around the World, in which in the not the previous piece, but the one before that, I included Poland,
Right.
which of course has like a state development bank running at the same time with their central bank.
Yeah, and India is another country where we've looked at. There was a report that just came out recently, a few days ago actually, about how the public banking sector has outperformed the private banking sector by in this economic downturn that they're experiencing right now. So it just reimburses or bolsters the idea that the way public banks work is whenever there's a downturn in the economy, public banks increase lending, whereas the private banking sector does the opposite. They decrease lending and exacerbate the recession or the downturn in the economy. So yeah, it was a very good article. You'll see it in our newsletter, our next newsletter.
How do we sign up for your newsletter?
Oh, there you go, Cheyenne. Yeah, Cheyenne.
So there's multiple places on the newsletter itself that you can sign up to. You can also go to the PBI website, which I'll just put in the chat in a moment.
Thank you.
And pretty much from the last meeting that we had, which was I think yesterday. Yeah. It seems like a long time ago for me, but it was literally yesterday. We're gonna try to make sure that in every respect you can find a link to the newsletter, a link to the website. Yeah. So making sure the newsletter got back on track these last couple of months, just what I handled. Now it's just making sure like the nitty gritties we're trying to refine. So I'll actually put the links in the chat in a second.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll have
Thank
a
you.
link to all of our media outlets, the website, the newsletter, all of that will be available in the newsletter itself, and places on, we're developing a place on the website where we archive all the previous newsletters so
Mhm.
that you can go and look back through the history and pick up any one you want, and we'll have little headers on them about what the content is. So yeah.
Okay. Great, 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 great. Very excited about that. You mentioned coalition meetings. Is that who gets to go to that, and is that part of the communications?
The Public Banking Institute has two um, Zoom calls a month on the first and second Friday. One is a coalition call for the leaders of various public banking initiatives around the country, which is by invitation. The second is the that's for the coordinators. The second is for the coalition overall, which is open to everybody who is interested in public banking. I know, Kay Lasker, who's on this call, frequently, attends, as do I, and it's a good roundup, and there are excellent discussions, and recommend that if you can either attend and participate, or if you can't make it at a particular time, view the recording of the uh, coalition calls because they are provide current information and what is on people's minds about public banking around the country.
Yeah, Shay,
Great.
are we featuring those coalition calls in the newsletter?
Coalition calls, yeah. They're always mentioned and under like next coming events.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the services of the newsletter, which I think is really helpful, and also what Athena's doing in social media, is to make people aware of different things happening in the public banking movement overall, which is not necessarily only Public Banking Institute, but the National Infrastructure Bank Coalition, folks who are interested in postal banking, people who are interested in the issues of concern such as housing and small business development and so forth. When there are conferences or Zoom calls uh, or, or meetings, which happen quite frequently, that we in the movement are aware of what's happening not only in public banking per se, but in our affiliated activities as well.
Yeah.
And Michael, what ideas do you have for new things that might be coming as you move into your role as media director?
Well, I'm very interested in the swarm techniques and technology that's
Okay.
available, and we're going to be working on that. I have a few ideas of my own. I don't want to let out on them yet because I have to
All
vet
right.
them through certain channels.
Okay.
But I'm looking at ways that we can activate the local city communities around the country to get public banking before our local city councilors.
Mhm.
I think that's going to be a strategic move that, if we are successful at,
Mhm.
could really push the envelope on getting public banks established. We're
Mhm.
working like
Mhm.
that in Colorado. I'm very closely engaged, in fact, completely engaged with the Colorado efforts. And we're working with a couple of cities. We're working with Commerce City, and we have great support from the Commerce City Council on this issue. And we're working as a home rule city to get the first public bank established in Colorado. So hopefully that pans out. We anticipate some legal struggles along the way. The big banks are not going to sit by idly, but we are addressing those. Earl Stalin, whom you may know, is the legal representative for PBI and also on the Rocky Mountain Public Banking Institute as well. He's a lawyer, good friend of mine. We worked together on the issues in Colorado.
Mhm.
And progress anywhere is progress everywhere as far as public banking is concerned. So if there's a breakthrough in Philadelphia or in somewhere in Colorado or in California or New Mexico or Janice in Texas of all places, that is something that can be leveraged for success in other places as well. And that's part of what the communications effort is about, is to let people know that they're not alone, that we're all in this together, and there's a lot to be done. Stan has a question or makes the comment that because establishing a public bank and getting it to actually be functioning and deploying money that makes a difference takes a long time. So his question is, how can the communications and messaging uh, help people who are new to the idea of public banking? At the same time, it helps people who have been in the trenches for quite a long time, and to keep people engaged for the long haul.
Yeah, one of the venues that I really wanted to pursue, and then we now are implementing in the newsletter, is public banking around the world. There are a lot I counted, there are over 100 countries that have public banks. And there are countless stories of inspiration on how well they're performing, how well they serve their communities. We want to create a sense in people of that public banks are inspiring. They're incredible tools at our disposal to bring about the kinds of changes we want in our communities. So these stories of inspiration are really some of the ones that we'll be pursuing. And I hope that does kindle the fires of hope and change in our public banking community.
So I'm curious, how many subscribers do you have right now? Trying to get a sense of how big the movement is.
Cheyenne, do you know how many off the top?
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers off the top of my
And
head.
thank you for sharing that last newsletter. I think I saw you put in the text that you've
Yeah.
shared the last newsletter. So yeah, folks,
I,
click in and share widely.
I think that Athena reported yesterday that she had attracted around 1,500 new followers over the last month or so.
So,
To Blue Sky, to what platform? Like, what does that mean?
I think that was to Blue Sky and Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
so that's the
Okay.
social media front. Right now on the newsletter itself, I believe we have just under about 2,500 contacts.
2,500 emails. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a number of, on my own personal Facebook page, I have 2,500 friends and
Okay.
200 followers, over 200 followers. And
Mhm.
I constantly post stories about public banking on my own. But I also
Mhm.
have the New York public banking webpage that I post to, the Public Banking Institute's Facebook page, not
Mhm.
web page, I meant Facebook page.
Mhm.
Um, So, and a few others, the Rocky Mountain Public Banking Institutes, the Coalition Facebook page. So yeah, we're trying to get the message out in every venue and that we can possibly do. And we're having success, by the way. It's slowly but surely picking up. And I actually think in a peculiar way, what's happened at the national level has really turned out to benefit public banking because people are no longer looking to the national government for help because
Right.
it's not there. They're cutting back on services. And now we're going to fall back on our own states and local governments for
Yeah.
the things that we need as a society, as people living in community.
Yeah.
And
So,
the
go ahead.
local
I'm sorry.
groups, Vanessa, the local groups around the country, like the Alliance for a New Economy in New Mexico and folks all over California and Washington State, they have their own communications and their own lists that have not previously been consolidated or
Yeah.
cross-referenced. That's something that we think we can do so that we have everybody in the same conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've
That's a
got
good
less
idea.
than 3 minutes. I want to end with this question. Your communication staff is like, that's amazing to have people who are staffed to do this. How do we get ourselves on MSNBC on Rachel Maddow? Do we have an interview list of, people who can speak to this pretty quickly? Do we get calls from MSNBC or anybody like that?
Well, we're presently in a different context in the Colorado context. We're trying to get Professor Richard Werner to come on board and help us get a public bank established in Colorado. If and when that happens, I think we may create an opportunity for a national audience because that's going to be huge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
We're
he's
still in a
one of
race to see
many,
who
but there
goes
are.
first, right? We're
Pardon?
hoping Philly gets on there, but yeah, anybody, if we can get
Philly would
anybody
be
to the
great.
finish line,
I mean,
right?
Philadelphia was the place where a lot of public banking originated. So, I mean, back in Franklin's day. So,
Yeah, yeah.
letters of credit and the like. So, yeah, I mean, it would be poetic justice if you guys were the first to get the next public bank.
Let's make Philly great again.
Like,
There
yeah,
you go.
exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
Let me ask this. Do you all work on, because the last time I was at a national conference was the Philly one back in what, 2008? Is anybody doing conferences where we're coming together in person and talking about this stuff? Or is that something you all might do?
Yes, it is. The Public Banking Institute is making plans to hold a Congress that will take place in the fall, sometime in the fall of next year. That would be a national conference on public banking, and that would be essentially the follow-up to what we began in Philadelphia in 2012.
2012 it was. There you go. There you go.
150 years after the Declaration of Independence. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so very much. Really appreciate you coming and congratulations on your new job, Michael. We look
Thank
forward
you,
to hearing
Dennis.
from you and I look forward to reading the newsletter that I will definitely subscribe to.
Thank you for having us.
Peter, any other questions as we head out?
No, Tim, if we can turn off the recording and then sort of open the mic.